Welcome to DIY with Uncle Kyle. Hope you're ready to learn something new today. What is up, Natties? It's your boy Uncle Kyle here. We're doing something a little bit different today. So if you visit us over on our Instagram page at The Naturals Pod, and if you already are over there, you will notice that I have already posted videos about some of these tool pouches that my dad and I make. Here's one, for example, little Cowboys theme. I actually made this one a while ago for one of my friends. That's his nickname, Peace. But yeah, we started doing this when I was 3 years into my apprenticeship, so probably about like 7 or 8 years. This is actually my pouch, personally, that I use on the job. For those of you that don't know yet, or you kind of missed it, I am a union electrician. So basically, you take this, you stick it in the back pocket of your jeans, and bang, you got all the tools you need for a day. Anything else you need, power tools, whatever, those are sitting on the cart, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of wanted to share the details of this. We have a really nice leatherworking studio, as you can see. This is just part of it. This is the workbench where we do most things. And I'm getting ready to make a custom order for a friend of mine. I actually worked with him when I was a first-year apprentice, and his son is now getting ready to turn out or become a journeyman from being an apprentice, and he wants to get him a nice pouch as a gift. He is an Anaheim Angels fan, and if you'll notice, you see these here in the background. They're all little symbols that we've done before. Wonder Woman pouch, Batman pouch. I did a Sith Lord pouch, and then, of course, obviously, we have the nice Cowboys pouch. My dad does what's called tooling into the leather. So it's actually carved in there, so it's pretty neat. I need to start trying to learn how to do some of that myself, but I'm just so busy with everything with the podcast and work and stuff. He and I kind of collaborate on these, and this is one of my parts that I do first. So, fitting with the Anaheim Angels theme, this will have the Angels logo right on the front part of the pouch. This is this front part where, let me clip this up. You know what? We're going to put it right there. Failed at clipping. But this is this front part of the pouch, so it folds in like that. And then as you can see on mine, you can hold a couple of screwdrivers. I've seen guys that have bought these, they stick a wrench in the side. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, my fellow tradesmen. You know, you can stuff whatever you want into this pouch. But for me, the creator, essentially, because there's actually a lot of guys out there. The leather crafting stuff is really popular in the union trade space because everybody likes having nice, cool, custom stuff. And the reason we started making these is when I was a first-year apprentice, I saw some other guys that had similar pouches, not the same design. This is our own proprietary design. We've made probably 6 or 7 different versions until we landed on the one that we're currently on and happy with. But yeah, I just thought that was so cool. And my dad, when he was young, he would do saddle making. He rode Broncos in 4-H club. He made his own saddles, his own chaps. And actually, here, I've got something cool for you. So he took his chaps, actually, and he made himself a what the hell is this called? An apron, a work apron. Check that out. How cool is that? Admittedly, I haven't seen him wearing it in here doing leather work, but you know, it's sometimes it's cool to make fun projects. We've done wallets for friends. When I was working on Raiders Stadium, my dad actually made a full tool bag for a guy, and it took him months. Like, he put blood, sweat, and tears into this project. So yeah, that's kind of the history of this. And it's just, you know, my dad and I, the reason I am good at doing anything, working on cars, being an electrician, is because he taught me from a very young age how to be self-sufficient, fix your own things, make your own things, so on and so forth. So that's cool. That's a nice bond that we share. And like I said, we've been making these for about 7 years. I'm trying to not get too tricky in the edits with this. And hopefully, graciously, Sweet Derek will give me a little hand. And if so, I'll send you some pictures of the other machines, because behind the camera, We have a skiving machine, which you can use to thin out pieces of leather. And then there's another one called a splitter where you can take the whole sheet. You could essentially take this whole sheet of leather, run it through it, and it's kind of like a plane for leather. Like it just takes a top layer off and makes it thinner. So that's pretty cool. We have spent quite a bit of money. This is definitely a passion hobby that we have and that we get to spend time and chill with one another doing. And it's just cool. We don't have a website. And as far as I'm concerned, me and my dad are really not looking to go that route because it's just nice that it's a word of mouth thing. It's a very craft and artisan, if you will. And that's the way we like it. Because once again, I'm not trying to make money off of this. Every dollar that I charge somebody, because typically what I do is one of these I'll charge a journeyman $200 for. Now, when I'm on a job and I'm working, I typically make one for my apprentice or cub, if you will, for my union electricians out there for free. Because that's just kind of my way of participating in the brotherhood, giving back, mentoring, and just kind of like rewarding the fact that they are interested in getting in our trade and becoming an electrician and supporting union work throughout the country. Let's go. And not going to get too political on that. If you're a union hater or you don't like it, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I have been in the Electrical Workers Union for 10 years, coming up on 10 years, and I have nothing but good experiences. The pay is great. I like our bennies. I like the freedom that I have with the job. I could travel across the country and go anywhere I want and work if I wanted to. I'm not much into the traveling thing, but shout out to those who are. So this one, the customer wants red and gray. I don't follow baseball that much, but I guess they have red and gray uniforms. So the problem is I have not found with leather dye. We've tried a few different kinds over the years. Initially, I was buying this, let me grab one real quick, this water-based leather dye called EcoFlow. And the reason I was doing it is because they had a ton of insane colors and stuff, and I really wanted to give people options and let them do cool custom things with it. But the thing I realized, because I made quite a few of these pouches for my classmates when I was in the apprenticeship, is after a couple of years, the color in that water dye just vanishes. It did, just poof, it's gone. So we use, I believe this is oil-based dye. But there is a couple different ones. I use the Pro dye, the Phoebings. My apologies to Phoebings. Because it stays in the leather really well. I haven't had any issues with it. It works great. I know that they have, I believe, an oil-based, and then there is an alcohol-based one, which dries really quickly. But for my purposes, because I'll dye this, and then I'm gonna let it dry overnight. Then probably tomorrow, I'll take the pieces down to my garage sink, and I take some saddle soap and I scrub it, and I wash the leather, and I get all that excess dye out. And also, the saddle soap really like seals the leather and just cleans all that up. Because when I'm working with these later on, we do the custom stamping. A lot of the times I'll stamp them before I dye them right here on the back. But sometimes I also dye them first. I haven't had any issues with that. And if anybody out there is watching is a leather crafting person and I could be doing any of this better, please chime in the comments and let me know. We are self-taught. My dad knows some things about leather working. I am like strictly self-taught, and then whatever he's shown me, but I feel like it's going pretty well. Like these are dope. I've had this one since 2019, so I've had it for 5 years. You can see it is pretty beat up and well worn. But I mean, as any true craftsman will tell you, that's the sign of getting done or getting stuff done. We're gonna bleep that one out. We're trying to keep this one clean, people. I do a lot of hooting and hollering on the podcast, so I can't be a filthy mouth all the time. So we're gonna try to keep it clean for this one. But yeah, so gray is just a color. Once again, leather people, if you're out there, plug your best gray dye, because I had a really cool one in the EcoFlow that was called Desert Sand, and the leather just looked like a tombstone. It made the pouch look so cool. But the problem is, Guys are out working, the pouch gets wet, it's in humid buildings, you sweat, and that dye just bleeds and just goes away, and then it looks like plain leather, which for me personally is not my jam. Like, I love a cool, I have some of that around here somewhere. Neat's Foot oil gives the leather like a nice tan finish, and then also for like just kind of an OG classic look, I'll use English Bridal. I think my container's leaking anyways, but long story short, this is a vinegaroon. This is steel wool in vinegar, and the steel wool will dissolve, and it'll essentially, I believe, I'm hoping, give me that gray look I'm going for. Hopefully it won't go too dark, because I know woodworkers do a similar technique. I believe they call it wood black, and I don't know if it's the same ingredients, because this is vinegar and steel wool. I don't know if they use some other kind of liquid other than vinegar to achieve that, but you dissolve it, you brush it on the wood, and the wood becomes black. It's ebony. It's incredible. It's a really cool finish for woodworking. I don't think I have the craft or patience to do woodworking, but it does interest me, and it's very, very cool. Woodworking, furniture making, all that stuff. It's great. But I got to stay in my lane, you know what I'm saying? So typically, this one is all blue. That's what he wanted. Sometimes when I do these, I'll do all blue, and then I'll do like an English Bridal or a more just like OG tan leather look to it. But also when somebody's paying me to do one of these, I'm going to do it to their specifications. But on the themed ones, when I do this and I put the print on there, shout out to Joann's, that's where I get that from, and I've ordered some online. I've even used a pair of Army surplus woodland camo pants to God, what is the word I'm looking for? Upholster, cover one of these. You guys know what I'm saying. So on the theme ones, I typically do an alternating color scheme, because I don't really like having just like solid one color. Like, I like to kind of break it up. So we're gonna do red, bang, and then in a couple days when this vinegaroon does its thing, I'll probably try it out on a couple test pieces to see how it works out. And if it's good, then boom, it's going on the piece. Because I'm kind of on the clock. I believe they graduate next month. And I really do, this is a hobby, but I really do my best to fulfill people's orders quickly, because a lot of them are gifts, and guys just want to use them. You know, your tool pouch is your livelihood when you're in the trade. And it's just nice to have a cool one. It's like, you know, it's like a way to kind of stun on people at work. That may sound silly to some, but I feel like, you know, as they say on the internet, everybody's got that one thing that makes them feel like a bad bitch. We'll bleep that one too, you know what I'm saying? So I use, this is the top to those aluminum serving trays. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I use for my dyeing. My table is back here, it's covered in dye, and we just recently redid the flooring in this room, so I'm trying not to murder any of the new stuff, because once you get this dye on something, whew, it's in there. Like, you are not getting it out. So typically what I'll do is, oh, I'm already making a mistake. Typically what I'll do is I use the pan, and then I'm sure this is going to be very familiar to a lot of people when I show it to you, but I also use these daubers to spread the ink around. Now, I have tried this so many ways, and a lot of the stuff online says to wet it or to have the leather be damp, and that way it absorbs the dye better. But the problem that I have had when I have done that, and I just prefer to just soak a pretty heavy amount of dye into dry leather. What I have found is when I did the damp leather, I let it dry, it took longer to dry, and then I had light spots and spots that I didn't really like that I had to go back and re-dye, and it just lengthens the process, because despite the fact that we've been doing this for 5 years, I mean, we initially started out just doing this by hand. We weren't even sewing them. There's a sewing machine right here, and we have all these other great tools that just make this so much easier. Like, we have it down to a kind of like factory science, but these are still handmade. And also, I don't like to be rushed. I always want to make these, I want that wow factor, you know, when I give it to somebody, I want to be like, oh, wow, that looks cool. Because I've done some really sick, I did a Spider-Man one for One apprentice that I worked with, shout out to Cheyenne, by far one of the dopest pouches I've ever done. And then this other, God, I don't know if she turned out yet, but if she ever sees this, you know, shout out to you too, Amina. You just have one of the coolest ones ever with that Wonder Woman pouch. And if Sweet Derek is gracious enough to help me edit those in, I'll throw some pictures of those because they are sick. But the one thing I've realized since we started doing this, by far, red, most popular color, would not have guessed that. And we get a lot of blues too. One that I've probably made at least a dozen of is we make a really cool Raiders pouch. I am a Broncos fan, but I am from Las Vegas, so, you know, let's go Raiders and support the local team. Golden Knights pouches, all of that. But I always try to throw a little extra flair on it, especially when somebody asks for the same concept. I really like these to be unique to the individual. Even though, I'm going to admit it to you right now, I have made some pouches for some people that I wish that I had not, but here we are. Because for me, it serves a dual purpose. It's kind of like, it's a legacy thing for me, because the guys that have the older pouches in our haul, I believe the guy that was making them, the real OG ones, I believe he passed away. So those are like, you know, that is something very special, and you can't get it anymore. And, you know, I don't want to die anytime soon, but also it is cool in the years that we've been doing this, when I show up on a job and I get to see somebody rocking one of me and my dad's pouches, and then usually they'll see me and they'll be like, "You made my pouch, right?" And or they just know me, and it's just kind of cool. It's something that me and my dad get to share, and man, I got to tell you what, my dad is the coolest. He's just they don't make men like him anymore. Just an honest, hard-working, helpful, loving man. I love you, Dad. If you end up watching this one, I know you get on the YouTube and peep some of this stuff. You end up watching this one, I love you. I love doing this stuff with you too. It's a really cool hobby. I definitely don't take it for granted. So on the back side of these, because these two pieces get glued together, I don't dye the whole thing because it's never going to be seen. So this part that I'm dyeing right here, if you'll notice, is on the other side of that, and you can see through it. A little clip, the clip on the back of it goes in there. God, I'm doing terrible work showing the camera. But yeah, I really don't skip steps or try to cut corners, because I believe in things being well made. And if this came apart or whatever, I want people to see dye, because I have bought other tool pouches and stuff that have been made, and they skip stuff like that, and it's those little details that I really like to check the boxes on. So what I do is I just cover the border, because, you know, it depends on how you treat it. You can see mine is very beat up, but it's still kicking. I've seen some people who keep theirs pristine. They clean it every time they see them. They like, still the pouch, it's good. There's other people who have wrecked it in a year, and I've ended up making them another one or repairing the one that they had. But yeah, so we'll do the back. This is the back, and then we skip a section. Hopefully I don't get red dye on mine, but this center part in the middle, let me go ahead and take my tools out so you can get a better look at this. But this center part is one long piece that folds over, and it creates the flap. Because this back part goes into your pocket, and then this just hangs over. So that flap is the center part. So I try to alternate. Woo, I had a little garbage in my pouch. I try to alternate colors, so it'll go red, gray, vinegaroon, whatever you want to call it, red, vinegaroon, and then it'll have the logo, and I'll probably paint that red just to make it pop a little bit. But because I have to wait on the one dye, you all will have to wait on the payoff for this. But I hope people enjoy these. I personally really like the DIY videos on YouTube, and I'm hoping that people will enjoy these as well, because I know that there's actually quite a large community of people that do leather work, and I would love to meet people that also make tool pouches. I have not directly met other guys in the trade who do it. I get asked to make belts all the time, which I still have not got on because they are just not cost effective. Belts A good belt, a real good leather belt made out of leather, just the materials are expensive because you're either buying a big side of leather. Let me see if I can get one. Nope, we don't got no big pieces, so I don't have, but you either buy a large side, like it's like a side of a cow that they have cut off and tanned, or you can buy the belt strips pre-cut, but obviously you're paying the premium for the pre-cut because they are doing all the work to process the leather and get it to the point where you can use it. So that'll be red. This will be red. These will be gray. I try not to cross-contaminate when I'm dyeing because usually you have one light color, one dark color. So it's like if I'm dyeing red and then I accidentally hit it with some black, that's a mistake. And we don't want to make that. So what I typically do initially is I get the dye on there. I do like a first dosing, if you will, just to open up the pores of the leather and in essence dampen it. And then I just go back and I pour a little more on there. Now, typically if I get really crazy and I start pouring the dye a lot, the beauty of the pan is I can taco that thing and just pour it right back into the bottle and we're good to go. Because we really try not to waste stuff, because the point that I was trying to get at earlier, I don't think I finished saying it, is every dollar that we make doing this goes right back into it. And we are still like deep in the red because there is lots of money into this equipment. It is not cheap. But, you know, for my craftsmen out there, you know how it is. You want to have a nice workspace, have the tools to do the job. That stuff does not come cheap. So you got to be willing to pay for it. But, you know, I feel like most people do it a little more responsibly. I mean, initially when we were sewing these, the sewing machine was the first big purchase, because sewing leather by hand, this is a call to action, and there's some really great leatherworking videos. I see them all the time on YouTube, and if I can get some names on the next one of these when we do the next step, I will, I'll throw them up because they do such cool stuff. They make really cool wallets and bags, and it's just very interesting to me. I love it. But a lot of them sew by hand. It just hurts because like these are very, very, very labor intensive with the sewing. There is a lot. It may not look like it on the couple little looks that I've given you at the pouch, but there is a lot of steps to the sewing process because like these two pieces, I glue them together. I have to do the stamping, put the clip on there, and then there's some hardware that goes in here, right? Then that has to get sewn. And the pouch kind of gets assembled in pieces, and then you have to line everything up and sew it. And let me tell you what, people, sometimes that is the most frustrating part because you don't always have it just right. We use these clamps to clamp it together when we're gluing and sewing and stuff. So that way you kind of have some control over it and you can keep everything together. But man, it is frustrating at times how that does not work. So in the next video, hopefully this vinegaroon is ready. I'll have these dyed up and I'll even like show you how it turned out and what it looks like. And the next step is going to be, after we get them dyed and cleaned up, we will skive this part with the machine that I showed you. I'll try to get some footage of that as well. Skive this part, whoop, with the machine. We roll the edge. That gives that extra durability. We sew it, just like you see on the pouches, and we get all the individual pieces ready to be assembled. That is like the next step. So we'll make a little series out of this. I will see when I stop and when I'm editing how long this video went. I'm trying to keep these in manageable bites. I don't want to hold you guys hostage for like longer than maybe 15 or 20 minutes. This is just something that I think is kind of interesting. It'll be extremely funny if I'm saying 15 or 20 minutes right now and this is like 10, because then even better, you know, because I want to give you guys a little glimpse without trying to make you commit to watching me do leatherworking for an hour. But anyways, check back. We will do more of these. Let me know in the comments. Do you like this? Did you come from the podcast? Do you like the podcast? If you haven't already and you're on this channel or you're on this video, I'll have him put up a link somewhere, or I'll have Derek show me how to put a link somewhere to the channel so you can check out our podcast and our shorts too, because we also do comedy. But this is just another facet of my life that I'm trying to include in our comedy universe. So until the next time, We got some dyeing done. I'll do some behind the scenes work so that way we're ready for the next step on the next video. But yeah, hope you guys like this. See you later.